Here's a full long-form story for your YouTube video, written in an engaging, emotional, cinematic style. It's structured to hold attention for a 40-minute narration, with a gripping hook, deep character development, challenges, resolutions, and a strong emotional payoff at the end. The camera fades in on a dimly lit roadside biker bar. The hum of engines outside mixes with rowdy laughter inside. Smoke hangs heavy in the air, neon lights flicker against bottles lined up behind the counter. The camera zooms in on a corner table where 5 leather-clad biker queens sit, their voices sharp and playful, their laughter echoing through the room. One of them, with flaming red hair and tattoos down both arms, slams her fist on the table and shouts loud enough for the entire bar to hear. "Win and marry us all." The others burst into laughter, raising their glasses, mocking anyone brave, or foolish, enough to take their challenge. It was a game they played often, daring men to try and outdrink them, outfight them, or outlast them on the open road. No man had ever won. To them, it was sport. To everyone else in the bar, it was suicide. The camera shifts to the door creaking open. A man steps in, shoulders broad, hair messy from the wind, jacket worn thin but neat. His eyes, quiet, tired, but steady, swept over the room. He wasn't there for trouble, but trouble had a way of finding men like him. The bar grew quieter, curious, measuring him. He carried himself differently, like someone who had been through hell and come back without bragging about it. The biker queen smirked. The red-haired one leaned forward, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Well, fresh meat. Think you can handle us, cowboy?" The man gave a small smile but said nothing, walking toward the bar. He ordered a simple black coffee, not a beer. That alone made people whisper. A man who walked into a biker bar and didn't drink. That was unusual. But before he could take a sip, one of the queens snatched the cup and shoved it aside. "You're gonna play with us, soldier boy," she teased, standing and circling him. "Win, and you marry us all." Her friends howled with laughter again. For the first time, he spoke, soft but firm. "I don't gamble with people's lives." Something about the way he said it silenced a few chuckles. But the redhead wasn't done. She poked at his jacket, trying to provoke him. That's when the edge of his sleeve pulled back, and the bar froze. On his forearm, clear under the dim neon glow, was a tattoo that read, "POW MIA, you are not forgotten." The room shifted. Jokes died on lips. Laughter turned to silence. Even the jukebox seemed quieter. The queens' mocking smiles faded as their eyes lingered on the tattoo. For bikers, especially veterans, it wasn't just ink. It was a badge of pain, sacrifice, and survival. A reminder of brothers and sisters who never came home. The man noticed the sudden stillness but said nothing. He just retrieved his coffee, sat down, and drank slowly. The red-haired queen sat across from him, her voice now softer, almost apologetic. "You served." He nodded once. "Army. Special Forces. Afghanistan." Another queen, usually loud and brash, swallowed hard. "Prisoner." He didn't answer directly. His silence was enough. His eyes carried the weight of men who had been caged, beaten, starved, and yet lived. He had walked out of places most people never returned from. The queens shifted uncomfortably. The bar patrons leaned in, realizing this wasn't just another stranger wandering in. One of the older bikers at the counter, himself a Vietnam vet with weathered hands, stood and saluted him quietly. Respect spread through the room like wildfire. But the man didn't bask in it. He wasn't there for glory. He placed his coffee cup down and turned toward the queens. "You said, win and marry us all. What do you call winning?" The red-haired queen crossed her arms, regaining some of her fire. "You outdrink us, outfight us, or outright us. No man's ever done it." He chuckled faintly. "Drinking's a waste. Fighting's for people with nothing to lose. Riding though, riding I can do." And just like that, the challenge was set. The next scene unfolds outside. Engines roar to life, headlights cutting through the night. A crowd gathers around as the queens rev their Harleys, sneering at the stranger who mounted a borrowed bike from the bar's garage. But once the race began, something changed. The man didn't just ride. He became part of the machine, leaning into the wind with the grace of someone who had spent years outrunning death itself. The queens pushed hard, but no matter how sharp the turns, how dangerous the cliffs, he was always ahead. Calm, steady, untouchable. By the time they returned to the bar, the crowd was chanting his name. The queens parked, sweating and panting, their pride bruised. He dismounted calmly, like the ride hadn't even tested him. The red-haired queen stepped forward, helmet under her arm, shaking her head in disbelief. "No one's ever beaten us," she admitted. Her eyes burned with something deeper now, not mockery, not challenge, but respect. The man simply shrugged. "It wasn't about beating you. It was about proving you don't have to fight everyone to earn their respect." The bar was silent again. Then the old Vietnam vet raised his glass. "To the forgotten, and to the ones who came back." The entire bar echoed the toast, glasses raised high. That night, the queens didn't laugh at him. They sat with him, listening as he shared pieces of his story, about brothers he lost, about nightmares that never left, about trying to find a life outside of war. And for once, the queens, who had always lived fast and loud, listened in silence. Some even wiped away tears. By the end of the night, the red-haired queen smiled softly. "We don't need you to marry us all, soldier. Just promise you'll ride with us again." He smiled back, finishing his coffee. "Deal." The camera fades as the bikes ride off together under the moonlight, engines echoing like thunder, no longer rivals but family. And before the screen goes black, the narrator's voice rises. "True strength isn't in fighting or winning. It's in surviving, in carrying scars with pride, and in teaching others the value of respect." If this story touched you, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that remind us what honor, sacrifice, and humanity truly mean. Fade out.